NBA All-Star Game, NBA Finals, WWE, all the fantastic concerts. Most recently, it served as a supply center for Advent Health during the peak of the pandemic. So we've had some memorable moments, and this venue is now going to be used for something that's incredibly impactful for Orange County and our nation. We want to make sure that every eligible voter in Orange County has the opportunity to vote and to vote safely. And I'm one of the founding mayors of Civic Cities When We All Vote. It's an initiative that mayors across the nation are helping to make sure we increase the voting percentage turnout. And I'm proud to announce today that the Amway Center will be an early voting site from Monday, October 19th through Sunday, November the 1st. In the room that we're in right now, the voting will take place. It'll also be also a drop box location. So that'll be 14 days from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And this voting location, I think, once again shows the power of collaboration and partnership that we have here in Central Florida. I want to thank our partners with the Orlando Magic, Alex Martins, Coach Clifford, the players, and the NBA for making voting a priority, and I know that they will be doing that for the next 2 months as well. We want to, again, make sure everybody is able to vote safely. We also want to thank our partners at the Orange County Supervisor of Elections Office, and you know that WWE is in the building as we speak, and they've been very cooperative in making sure that we can get this done. With that, I'd like to call on Mayor Demings.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. I'm honored to be here today, and let me just say thank you to the Orlando Magic and really to the staff here at the Amway Arena for this effort today. I'm a lifelong resident of Orlando, and when I think back about really the significance of today, I'm reminded that in the 1950s, my family lived here in the Paramore area. And there was a street called Bryan Street that ran right through here. And my family used to live in a house that would have been right there. And so that means that a lot has changed since that period of time. This was a segregated community in Orlando. And so for the fact that we're here today to work in collaboration to make this announcement, it is nothing short of extraordinary for me to be here and to participate in this occasion in the historic Paramore community. The Amway Center is a local landmark, and while there have been thousands of concerts and sporting events, the announcement today represents perhaps one of the most noble missions of the building to date. Voters are always being told that if it is their civic duty to vote. But what does that mean? Why vote? Voters have the opportunity to pick the type of leaders who are going to address issues that are most important to them. And we know as Floridians how narrow margins of victory have been for political races, from President of the United States right down to city council members here within our community. Every vote counts. Access to voting is important, and we know that everyone should get involved. So I'm encouraged that everyone will come out and support this voting season in November going forward. And by the way, voting begins on October the 19th. I know that we're going to hear from Mr. Cowles more about that. I thank the NBA for establishing a social justice coalition, and we are seeing some of the results of that coalition today. Coach, thank you for everything that you've been doing with the players as well. I have 3 adult sons and 5 grandchildren, 4 granddaughters, and 1 grandson. And all of them love the NBA. They watch the players. They watch how you behave and what you stand for. And so you serve as an inspiration to many of our young people around the globe, but certainly to those in my own family as well. And so at this time, I would like to introduce the Orange County Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Bill Cowles, for additional comments.
Thank you, Mayor Demings. Orange County is really excited about this opportunity to partner with the City of Orlando venues, and with the Orlando Magic organization to offer early voting right here at the Amway Center. This will be our 20th location for early voting for the general election. Early voting, as has been said, October the 19th through November the 1st, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 14 straight days, 12 hours each day. We'll have voting right here in this area. There'll be plenty of free parking because the Magic have offered the flat lot right across the street from us. And also, as the ballot box here says, we're going to have drive-through drop-off for your vote-by-mail ballots, and they'll be out there on Church Street on both sides to have voters drive by and drop it off. No need to get out of their cars and park to drop theirs off. I guess a little caveat to it is we can only service Orange County voters here during the early voting period or for dropping off their ballots. You know, this site, I believe, is going to be perfect for the downtown quarter. The students down the street at the UCF campus, if they come back, and the voters in the West Orange neighborhoods, they'll all find this an easy early voting site and very accessible. We make sure that everything we set up in here will be COVID-19 precautions. We'll want everybody to wear masks, and we'll have plenty of space to space everybody out here. And if the crowd gets too big, we'll just have a smackdown with the WWE for more space on that. So, you know, as has been said, Florida's record is to have close elections, and every vote will matter, and we hope that people will come and take advantage of this opportunity here to vote. And with that, let me call on our friend and supporter here, Alex Martin, the CEO of the Orlando Magic.
Thank you, Bill. The Orlando Magic is proud today to join the rest of the NBA and the National Basketball Players Association in our full commitment to these continuing efforts to make voting accessible and safe for all of our residents. I want to start by thanking and recognizing several people for their cooperation and their efforts in making this a reality. We want to start with thanking our great mayors, the mayor of the city of Orlando, Mayor Buddy Dyer, Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings. And we also want to thank Bill Cowles, our Orange County Supervisor of Elections. And finally, we'd like to thank our own Magic Vice President of Community and Government Affairs, Linda Lamon Gonzalez. Really, all of these individuals played a key role in making this a possibility. Through their great teamwork and collaboration, we are thrilled to say that the Amway Center will be an early voting location here in Orange County. In addition, we want to recognize the DeVos family, our entire team of players and coaches, and specifically today I'd like to thank our President of Basketball Operations, Jeff Weltman, our head coach, Steve Clifford, and Magic Center Mo Bamba for pushing us forward in these efforts and really initiating these conversations. And they're all internationally, quite frankly, wearing these shirts that say, get off the bench, get into the game, vote. So we want to thank them, for their leadership in that regard. Mo Bamba has specifically been an ambassador on this issue from the beginning, dating all the way back to June, when he partnered with More Than a Vote to make sure that everyone in Orange County had a convenient way to vote and to participate in democracy. And for that, Mo, we thank you very much. Thanks for your leadership. We all know that voting is one of the most important things that we can do to enact change in our communities, and one of the most basic rights that we have as Americans. And with a world-class facility like the Amway Center being open, this will allow for thousands in the area to have a safe voting experience. At the Orlando Magic today, we are proud to join the other 14 NBA teams that to date have designated their arenas as either early or election day voting sites in their cities. So whether it's during early voting, again from October 19th to November 1st here at the Amway Center, we also intend on having a Get Out the Vote and Register event on National Voter Registration Day, September the 22nd. We look forward to doing that here at the Amway Center as well. Or if it's voting on Election Day at each one of your individual precincts on November the 3rd, we encourage everyone in Orange County to get off the bench, get into the game, and vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, everyone. At this time, we'll open it up for questions. If you can please wait for affiliation.
Alex, from the moment you guys arrived in those T-shirts to the NBA Restart campus, your message was clear. How much is this a continued effort and just, the beginning of something that you guys continue to plan to work towards as an organization?
Well, as an organization, we are talking and will be implementing various voting initiatives over the course of the next several weeks. Our Social Justice Task Force, as a matter of fact, meets for this week immediately after this press conference, and they have been talking about various voting initiatives. So you're going to see a very proactive and very public message from the Orlando Magic through social media and other mediums, communicating to everyone in Orange County to register to vote here in the short term, and then to get out to vote during the early voting period or on Election Day.
Holly Bristow with Fox 35 News. This question is for Mo, if he's taking questions. I understand that this was something that was very important to the players and something that you guys were very passionate about in some of your negotiations. Can you talk about that and what this means to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't exactly there in the bubble when it became a national story, with the protests of the games. But way before 2 months ago, I saw fit that we use the Amway as a place for as a voting station. I saw a couple other teams were doing it, and I thought it would be a grand idea for us to do it here in Central Florida. And I came in contact with a bunch of guys that's on the stage right now and a few others, and kind of just hit the ground running.
Alex Fleming, Florida Sun Review. From Disney to downtown, Orlando's been the mecca of NBA and sports as of right now. How big of an influence do you feel the Amway Center can be when it comes to the 2020 election?
I think it'll attract more turnout. I think there's a unique opportunity. It's not often that we'd actually have the Amway Center available during early voting because it would be during the NBA season. So we're fortunate to be able to do this, and I think there's going to be a uniqueness to be able to come vote here, and I think some people will want to come and be part of this movement and actually vote at the Amway Center.
Hi, Farah here for Telemundo. This question for Steve Clifford, coach from Orlando Magic. What type of details and conversations did the players have in the locker room when they stopped the league and they wanted to be a voice, what's going on, and how they had the conclusion to try to make Amway Center part of the voting?
Yeah, well, in the locker room, the only thing, Jeff was in there too, that we talked about was supporting what happened, so that we continue to have unity with all of the teams within the bubble. That led to a mass meeting, I'm sure you know, of all the players, which then led to, which I think is obviously an incredibly important step, is really what happened is we became more organized. The players union with the owners became more organized. That's a big part of the 30 cities trying to open all of their arenas. Also, though, is the players are now getting leadership. They're going to get consultants to help them in other areas, in police accountability, in education reform, so that if you were in the meeting, there were, I thought, great talking points from a number of players. But the thing that they all realized, I think, that day was, you have to have somebody a la Desmond Meade who's an expert in those areas to help them and guide them. And that was, I think, one of the decisions that was made, which is so positive for all of us going forward.
Hey, Bob Hazen from West 2. Obviously a big venue here, but what are we talking about as far as capacity for people to come here and vote? How many machines, how many people could be in there at any one time? And then kind of in line with that, has there been any discussion or thought about using it also during the general election, or the actual election day?
Yeah, a couple of points there. Obviously, we know that the capacity will allow us to ramp up to what we need, and this will be one of our largest sites in terms of equipment, voting booths, and on that. So we'll make it work based on the anticipation. So we've got plenty of equipment because we can redeploy it back for election day after early voting ends on Sunday night. So we're very blessed to have plenty of space, good parking, and the key thing here is early voting is really convenience voting. And I think that's what's going to drive this site, is the fact that it's going to be convenient to the various neighborhoods that I spoke about. So we'll have capacity. We'll fill it as much as we can and make the experience good for each voter when they come. As to the question about Election Day, Alex mentioned that we're going to go back to our 247 precincts. Actually, the Amway Center sits in precinct 601, and the polling place for 601 has been the polling place for as long as I've been doing elections here, and I'm not going to take it away from Shiloh Baptist Church to have the voting there in their community and that site on Election Day.
All right, Melissa Thomas with Florida National News. This question is for both mayors. Just wanted to ask you, what was the procedural details in terms of getting together with the Amway Center, with the Orlando Magic to make this possible?
Well, the city owns and operates the building. The Magic are our tenant. So I think the Magic brought it to the supervisor of elections and then to our venue staff, and it was a pretty easy decision to make.
Melissa, the only thing I wanted to add, going back to one of the questions earlier, I think it's pretty cool to be able to have, open up this building and have the community come into it, especially with the demographics that we're talking about. With the NBA, they are so influential in the lives of our young adults and our teens. And with some of our young adults, this is going to be the first time that they have ever voted in a presidential election. And so I think just by having the backdrop of the Amway Arena involved with that helps to perhaps get some people to come through the doors and to vote for that very first time.
Lauren Cervantes, WKMG News 6. Bill, question for you. Will it be your staff manning this as an early voting site, or will it be also in partnership with the Orlando Magic and their staff as well?
Well, at this point, it'll be mainly our staff, but Mo has already offered. He wants to work, and he feels that there'll be other players that will want to. And so from that standpoint, we have a position called greeter who works the outside, works with them. I think that's a perfect thing for them based on it is a long commitment of 14 days. So depending on what the NBA schedule of activities and start dates for the future and all. So we'll work with that. But actually, we will be hiring the full-time staff working in here, but we will incorporate some of the Magic players in the process.
Sharon Stone with News 13. This question's for Mo Bamba, please. Can you speak specifically just why voting in particular is so important for NBA players, given the climate of the shooting of Jacob Blake and everything that we've seen? Why is it that voting is something that is so important?
I wanted it to be more of a, not a reactionary thing, but more of a proactive thing to vote. Obviously, the shootings of those guys are really, unfortunate, but this was something I've been pushing for, way before. And voting to me is the most American thing you can do. for democracy to work. I learned that at a very young age in elementary school with just voting for a class president. And this is something I just want to push for. My little cousins are visiting me right now, and those guys, you know, they don't really understand the importance of voting. One just turned 18, one is 20, and the other is 19. And I just keep telling them, like, man, you got to vote, you got to vote, you got to vote. And, you know, my message is going to continue to be the same, whether if it's trying to get them to see voting as, you know, a cool thing or even an obligation. But it's important. It's the most American thing you can do.
Jeff Deal, WFTV. Alex, I was going to ask you something similar along the same lines of the question that Mo just answered. Was there anything that he said to you or any of the other players said to you as a main reason why this is so important that you said, hey, we need to make this happen, and you guys went ahead and made it happen here?
Well, I think all of our players throughout our entire league, you know, have committed this to be one of the pillars of, you know, their work towards social justice. And I think the comments that I've heard from most are that, you know, you have the ability to impact change by who you vote for. And if change is needed in our communities, which we do need change, obviously, based on the social injustices going on, you can personally impact that by voting for someone who is going to impact that change and is going to change it in a way that you feel is the right direction. And that's what I've heard from the players consistently, you know, and not just our players, but from most players throughout the NBA.
Jamie Say, WKMG. Mayor Dyer, without the pushing of the NBA, would this have happened?
I think the idea originated with the NBA and the players. I suppose if the supervisor of elections had come and asked us, that probably would have happened as well, but it certainly was the impetus from the NBA and the purpose in doing that. So I'll change my mind and say, no, it probably wouldn't have happened without the NBA.
Something on your radar before this?
In terms of using this facility, I didn't until, of course, as we know, 2020 has been a totally different year. And so, and of course, for the Magic organization, the flux of starting, stopping, starting, when they're going to start a new season, this was not something, but as the window of opportunities open, that's a situation that we were more than welcome to be a partner in and have a discussion with each of the partners about how we can make it happen.
Okay, final question for Holly.
Mo, how do you feel that as an athlete, people are now asking you more than just about how many rebounds you got per game? They now want to know about social justice issues and what you think about political matters and what's going on in the world.
Well, you know, I'm not a politician. I'm not really into politics, but I do see fit in learning as much as possible about what current events and what's going on in the world, and doing what I can to be the change leader and to see how I can impact it, because quite frankly, I have a platform and I just want to use it the right way.
All right, I'm going to want to take one more from Farah.
Thank you, sorry. Just a quick question for, it could be DeVos or it could be Martins or the mayor or the governor. Are you going to have the players being part of the campaign, you know, promoting the earlier elections here in Amway? Are they going to be part of it, or the NBA won't allow that? Like, how is going to be the maybe campaign to promote this early voting here in Amway Center?
No, as I said earlier, we are going to have an extensive campaign as an organization, and our intention is to use our players and their platform and their desire to be part of this voting initiative as part of that campaign as well.
Thank you, everyone.